From advertising to software as a service to data.
Across all of our programs and clients, we've seen a 55 to 65% open rate.
Getting brands authentically integrated into content performs better than TV advertising.
Typical lifespan of an article is about 24 to 36 hours.
If we're reaching out to the right person with the right message and a clear call to action, then it's just a matter of timing.
Welcome to the MarTech Podcast, a member of the I Hear Everything Podcast Network. In this podcast, you'll hear the stories of world-class marketers that use technology to drive business results and achieve career success. Here's the host of the MarTech Podcast, Benjamin Shapiro.
Welcome to the MarTech Podcast. I'm your host, Benjamin Shapiro, and today we're going to discuss AI in a data-driven world. Joining us is Georgios Grigoriadis, who is the CEO of Baresquare, which revolutionizes data analytics by delivering proactive AI-powered insights directly to the right people at the right time, serving customers like Sony Europe, Condé Nast, Turkish Airlines, and Siemens. And today, Georgios and I are going to discuss how you define AI data analytics for marketers. All right, here's the first part of my conversation with Georgios Grigoriadis, the CEO of Baresquare. Georgios, welcome to the MarTech Podcast.
Thank you, Ben, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Excited to have you here. Excited to have somebody representing our dearly beloved country of Greece. You're a native of Greece, and also so is our beloved editor, Panos. So if we have to interpret everything from Greek back to English, hopefully we can do that. But great to meet you. Wonderful to have you here. And I'm excited to talk a little bit about Baresquare and about AI and data and analytics. Everything is swirling around so quickly in the marketing and MarTech landscape right now. A bunch of different factors, generative AI taking over the world, access to data going away, deprecation of third-party cookies. We're rethinking everything. This is like the year of the clean slate, and let's just all burn it down and start over. So if marketers are rethinking their strategies, their approaches, the data they use, how do we define data and analytics for marketers in the age of AI?
Excellent points, and already I think that you brought up all of these challenges that marketers are having in front of them for this and for the next year. But back to your question about defining AI and data analytics, I think of it in a very simple way. AI data analytics takes the traditional data-driven marketing just to the next level by analyzing data at a vastly larger scale. It is allowing marketers to go deeper, get more comprehensive insights from their data, even if the data set is not so comprehensive itself. It's possible to do closer to real time, and with large language models specifically, marketing can become more data-driven and go beyond the ceiling that we hit with the traditional methods of analysis because of the inability to fully use all available datasets. So AI can break through this barrier of deriving insights on only specific datasets, and now it can do it across the full depth and breadth of marketing analytics. And if there is something that I would like to put as a disclaimer is that I'm not talking about the super intelligence kind of AI. So when we are thinking about AI data analytics, I don't mean some sort of insights that are coming from an omnipresent being that knows everything and is able to have the wisest and more profound insights ever. I'm thinking of it from a different perspective. With AI, life is going to become somehow more comfortable, more easy, more accurate, more convenient. And the method to go there is the AI data insights, especially for marketing.
I love that. And I feel like there's so much anxiety for marketers right now because things are changing so much. Some of the sort of production tasks that we do are no longer responsible. So we don't have to write the copy. We have to edit it. We don't have to create the images. We're using AI to do all of that stuff. All the sort of creative parts are now being gone and consumed by technology. So now we're talking about, well, okay, we're using AI to analyze our data. What am I going to do as a marketer? And for a lot of us, it feels like, what am I going to do to add value? what am I going to do to prove my worth as a marketer if the direction we're going is artificial intelligence is going to be able to do things like aggregate, analyze, and then produce creatives? Oh my God, I'm going to be out of a job. Holy shit. And in reality, what you're saying is this actually just makes our lives easier and better. You're going to be able to have artificial intelligence do the brunt workforce in large data sets. And even if you don't have a ton of data, you can make some conclusions. Now, there was a graphic on Baresquare's website. I was looking over your site before I got on the podcast. And it basically shows all of the different databases, your AWS, your Google Cloud, your Microsoft, all the data feeds you have, third-party data sources, filters them into some sort of a black box, and then spits out some sort of results that go into places like Slack or your HubSpot or your OpenAI for some sort of copywriting tasks. That black box is something that I want to double click into. Where when we talk about, all right, we're feeding all this data into AI as a broad umbrella term, and then we're getting this wonderful analysis out that just tells us exactly what to do and how to market at the right place at the right time. It's not that simple yet, right? It's not just I connect my database to artificial intelligence and, all right, time to hit the showers. There's a lot of work that goes into feeding the data, structuring the data, giving the prompts, getting some analysis, asking the right questions. So how should marketers be thinking about that middle box that is this ingestion of data and analysis piece? How do marketers, once they have their data connected to some sort of an analysis tool that is AI driven, actually make it so they can have trust, make the right conclusions, and then implement the right marketing campaigns to drive business results?
First of all, it really depends on the reference point. What is this thing that we are comparing it with? So if it's really comparing the current state of AI for interpreting data for marketers or almost for any other new task that we didn't know that AI could perform like 3 years ago, obviously there is going to be difficulties and there are things to set up, to clarify, to perform quality assurance, to create that trust that you mentioned. So from that perspective, obviously it's very difficult and there are many things for people still to do. There is the other perspective as well, though, which is looking at what a marketer is doing every single day. So compared to all the difficulties for checking multiple reports, clicking on many different dashboards, being able to constantly understand what the graphs are showing, well, from that perspective, what AI can do right now, it's close to magic. So it is really two different perspectives. But when we are really summarizing everything just in one title, perhaps this one title is very misguiding for most of people because it gives the impression that everything has been fully automated. But let's talk about this black box that you mentioned. The black box, in a way, exists today as well, Ben. And it's filled with blood, sweat, tears, frustration of the marketers every single day. It is really a place of a lot of anxiety and stress because everyone knows that they are behind to what ideally they should be doing on a daily basis. And if it is to start thinking about benchmarking workflows, specific things that a marketer needs to do, and we see a traditional workflow that is driven by spreadsheets and dashboards, compared to a workflow that now it's enabled with, let's say, ChatGPT with advanced data analysis, it's really possible to get a multiplier of 2 by using the chat with your data approach. And then there are some other solutions, and Baresquare is more specialized in helping marketers to achieve their revenue goals. And because we are working with more detail on that specific workflow, we are able to provide even bigger multipliers that could go up to 15 or 30 times faster or more comprehensively type of analysis that is done today. So there is really a big uplift that someone can get. It's not a fantasy world that everything works automatically. And honestly, in a market, there will never be that fantastic heaven where everyone is just happy and nobody is doing anything. Because at the end of the day, it's people who are giving value to services and solutions. And AI is just another tool. So it's the human society that would need to decide what has value and what not. And humans are very competitive. The moment that someone managed to find, let's say, the most magical button that everything is going to be automatically done, another human with access to that button, they will find something to put on top just to be more competitive. So I think that the human nature by itself, it's just saving us from all that discussion that it's leading us to the wrong themes to talk about. Because humanity will find a way to compete again, no matter the level of automation that we will bring on the table. And I wonder what you think about that. And if you like, we can continue on that thread.
It's funny how the more we get into the possibilities and the direction that artificial intelligence is taking marketing, and we're dramatically impacted by artificial intelligence as much or more than any other industry. The more that the conversations I have with marketers get philosophical, right? It's about the future direction. And it's like, we're always going to compete. We're always going to try to do something different or differentiate or try to be on the top because that's human nature. And if artificial levels the playing field, it doesn't mean that humans aren't going to be competitive anymore. And I hear what you're saying. And I think that we can get lost in the weeds with the let's forecast what marketing will be in the future. I want to focus more on where we are in the present, where right now is the first time of experimentation and implementation for brands saying, I don't have to manually move my data to a centralized location and manually build my reports and dashboards and do my analysis. I can give it to another system to do some of the processing, right? The mental load to help me make faster, better decisions. So this episode is titled Defining AI, Data, and Analytics for Marketers. As we're defining AI-driven data analytics, what are some of the things that marketers are doing or the metrics they're using that AI is helping them implement? Are we just taking the same metrics, the same KPIs and saying, cool, AI, just give me this updated by the hour instead of by the day? Are we just doing things faster? Are we changing the way that we think about analytics because we have AI capabilities?
I love this perspective. So let's just focus on how the marketer's life can be expected to be a little bit easier in the very near future. So with AI data analytics, a marketer can expect higher resolution into the insights. The insights are going to be more representative of what customers are doing. Right now, marketers can have incomplete views of what customers are doing, which are going to lead them into wrong conclusions. While now with AI, we can have a more comprehensive picture of what the customers are doing or what they are trying to do, and businesses are not able to cater their needs. Another big frustration of a marketer today is to deal with incomplete datasets. The way that marketers and data analytics people and the whole industry really have been thinking about data architectures was always on a very granular level of integration. So for the past 10 years, all the data technologies are trying to solve the problem of Georgios using a phone to access a page, and later on he's using a laptop. So he's continuing his customer journey. How are we able to stitch together these two different sessions so we can correctly attribute what made Georgios click and buy? Now, for all the things that are right now happening in the data world with privacy, with cookies and ad blocking browsers and so on, what we can really see is the quality of data will go down. And the ability for integrating datasets on a granular level, again, Georgios on a mobile device and Georgios on a laptop. Well, on the mobile device, Georgios is using a browser that is not allowing any cookies, and on the laptop, similarly, it's going to be missing other information. So far, we have been relying on granular data integrations as the only way to achieve comprehensive insights. However, what's great with LLMs specifically is that LLMs are able somehow to be more accurate in less accurate datasets. They are able to deal with ambiguity up to a level. They can come back with answers to questions that don't necessarily have to have all rows aligned and integrated. So a marketer today is having a lot of frustration by lack of data integration. With LLMs, we can expect that the need for data integration can be somehow less important because AI will be able to parse different data sets but still distill the insights in a higher level because of the context that is included within words. So we talked about higher resolution insights, less frustration for data integration. I think it's important to highlight that AI can give us the potential to increase our privacy by anonymizing data while still keeping the capturing of the key patterns. I don't think that this is where we are going as a society and humanity with AI, to provide more privacy, but it is the case. Agents can become that different type of a black box, that clean room that people would like to have if it was for technologies just to interact by themselves, get the results, but not give away the people's privacy. I'm afraid that it's not really one of the latest trends when it comes to AI and data, but the capability is there. And what excites me the most is that right now we are really depending on people who understand data to explain to the rest of the people who don't understand data what it's all about. And we have a new technology in hand, large language models, that can bring that level of explanation of what data really means to everyone on their own level of understanding, level of experience, language even, and being able to give access to the insights of data independently of people's abilities and cognition skills and understanding. It's what excites me really the most.
Here's my takeaway. And admittedly, we are incredibly high level right now. So as you're thinking about the use of artificial intelligence and the role it plays with marketers, there is a shift. This is not a one-year shift. And I've said that the rise of OpenAI and LLMs and all the different competitors we're seeing in artificial intelligence is an iPhone moment. And by that, I mean, when the iPhone was introduced, there were some people that made a killing. Mostly when the App Store started, you got Ubers and other companies that over time became these gigantic monolithic organizations and made the most of the idea of we all have a phone in our pocket. We've all got this supercomputer with us. We're going through that generational technology shift again. We've seen this before, whether it is connectivity through the internet, whether it is mobile devices. Now it's the ability to expedite the process. And as we think about artificial intelligence, data, analytics, as it relates to marketers, the task is going to be less operational. We are all not going to be marketing tech ops experts. Sure, there's going to be people that are setting up the foundation, and you're going to have to know how to do that. But the most successful marketers, I've always said marketing is an art and a science. The science is in the setup. The art is in knowing what the questions are to ask. And we are going to have the amount of operational work that we focus on. How do I get my daily report? How do I stamp the triplicate and rip it in half and give one to the customer and keep one for myself for record keeping, using a 1970s, 80s business metaphor? Now we're moving past that. All of that stuff is gone, and it's just about asking the question to understand and making conclusions so you can fundamentally know right person, right place, right time. And that wraps up this episode of the Martech Podcast. Thanks for listening to my conversation with Georgios Grigoriadis, the CEO of Baresquare. Join us again tomorrow when Georgios and I continue our conversation talking about AI, data analytics, specifically related to the customer journey. If you can't wait until our next episode and you'd like to learn more about Georgios, you can find a link to his LinkedIn profile in our show notes. You can contact him through his company's Twitter handle, which is Baresquare, Baresquare, or you could visit their company website, which is baresquare.com. Just one more link in our show notes I'd like to tell you about. If you didn't have a chance to take notes while you were listening to this podcast, head over to martechpod.com, where we have summaries of all of our episodes and contact information for our guests. You can also subscribe to our weekly newsletter, and you can even apply to be our next guest speaker on the Martech podcast. Of course, you can always reach out on social media. Our handle is MartechPod, MarTechPod, on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, or you can contact me directly on LinkedIn. My handle is Ben J. Shap, BenJShap. And if you haven't subscribed yet and you want a daily stream of marketing and technology knowledge in your podcast feed, we're going to publish an episode every day this year. So hit the subscribe button in your podcast app, and we'll be back in your feed tomorrow morning. All right, that's it for today. But until next time, my advice is to just focus on keeping your customers happy.